Welcome to the Casual Horror Fan channel. Today, I have a different video for you. This is something I've wanted to talk about for a very long time, and it's the new rules of horror. Obviously, this is inspired by Randy's character in the original Scream, where he discusses the traditional or the three rules of horror. No sex. Characters who have sex tend to die first in horror movies. It's treated as a moral or narrative punishment. And you actually can apply this to a lot of like morally bankrupt or morally impermissible actions in traditional horror movies. No drinking or drugs. This is sort of a corollary to that, right? Substance use is another marker that a character is doomed. Of course, this is kind of often portrayed as like, your inhibitions, loss of inhibitions, loss of control, and because of that, you put yourself in danger. And never say, "I'll be right back," because that character never comes back. And you actually do see this in a lot of classic movies. And there's actually a lot of other rules that we could go over, but these are what I call the new horror rules. And it's mostly slashers, but I also have some for elevated horror, but this is primarily as it applies to slashers. And I want to say this is going to anger some people, but it needs to be said. Okay. I'll also add, I think these rules are actually followed way more strictly than the old ones were. And the first couple of rules are about race. Rule 1, black and brown characters almost never die. It's not to say they can never die. It just rarely happens. And when it does happen, it's usually towards the end of the movie, right? So this makes it really easy to see like the order of which the movie's going to go. Rule 2, this one is more written in stone. Black and brown characters are almost never the villain. And as a sort of like additional corollary rule to that, they're not only just not the villain, they're almost always written as virtuous, because also diversity quotas are very easy to predict because there's normally one white heterosexual man who's going to be the bad guy. And that actually adds me to another rule also related to race. White heterosexual men in particular are almost either lacking virtue or straight up evil and the villain. So when you put those three rules together, figuring out who the killer is in a modern slasher is like incredibly easy. If there's one normal seeming white guy in the cast, that's your villain. This is basically the whole mystery solved before the movie ever gets going. Next rule. Women are almost always written as strong, independent, and capable fighters. On its own, it's not necessarily a bad thing, but when it's applied as a rule rather than a character choice, it becomes just as predictable as everything else. Another rule, generally speaking, good doesn't win out, right? Modern horror movies lean hard, and this is where we maybe more get into our elevated horror. Modern horror movies lead into bleak, downer endings almost always as a default setting. So if there is this tension between good and evil, what's probably going to happen is either the good wasn't good to begin with, or evil's going to win, or it'll both kind of like just like end ambiguously, where neither side is really victorious and we don't know entirely what happened. Another rule, a lighter one, there almost always has to be a twist. Twists are cool, especially ones that are subtle, especially ones that are done right. However, I actually think they get obnoxious in modern films. It's like because you end up watching the whole film waiting for the twist and trying to figure out the twist instead of enjoying the movie and diving deep into the characters. Please make sure to like and subscribe if you want to see more content like this. This is a young channel. We're trying to grow it out. So every like helps more people see this video. Also, let me know what you think of my rules in the comments below. Then there's a Gore rule. Okay, movies have to be aggressively bloody, gruesome, unnecessarily dark. Okay, if you're doing a remake, it has to top the original and how disgusting it is. It can't be an interesting take. It can't be subtle kills. It's an arms race at this point, right? If you're going to make elevated horror, there's going to be an aggressive amount of nudity in these films. And it's not the nudity that you want to see. It's almost always kind of disgusting. It's going to be unflattering, fat people, a lot of pubic hair, nothing stylized. And even more to that, if you really want to make a proper elevated horror film, there has to be dicks in it. Okay. It's not enough to just show fat women with gross pubic hair. You also have to see weird flaccid penises and male pubic hair. It's just a rule, okay? It's one of the new rules, guys. If you want to make an elevated horror film, this is how you have to do it. A few more I'd add to the list, and this is again elevated horror. Whatever the monster or the haunting is, it has to secretly be a metaphor for grief, addiction, or generational trauma. You can't just make a movie about good guys and bad guys, because again, we don't really believe in good guys and bad guys in elevated horror. A film like Backrooms, it's not enough to just have this story exist. No, we have to have trauma and grief that does nothing to add to the story at all. And I would love for people to start challenging these rules. I think it would make for more interesting stories. I mean, everyone knows this. You can dislike what I'm saying, but everybody knows it's true. Just go through like the last 20 slashers you've seen, and who was the bad guy? How were black and brown people portrayed? How were the white people portrayed? How were women portrayed? And they're going to it's going to follow these rules. I think that these rules are more closely followed than the old horror rules. I think in the past people were more willing to buck the system. Anyway, guys, let me know what you think below in the comments. Let me know what you think of my rules. And I will see you in the next one. I'm out.